What's up everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today is actually a reading vlog where I'm reading two new releases. They were actually ARCs when they got sent to me, but you know, this girl works a full-time job, so I'm not getting it out to you until now. But the first book that I'll be reading in this vlog is Just Last Night by mcfarlane. This book came out May 4th, so it is published. If you love the sound of it, definitely go grab yourself a copy. This book is a romance book, and I have read one other book by this author. I love that she writes her characters in their like 30s, and this is definitely labeled as a very emotional book. And then we have Mary Jane, and this one is a young adult historical fiction novel. This one actually was published May 11th, so again, you can go grab a copy if you think that it sounds great. I want to give a big thank you to William Morrow and Custom Books for sending me both of these copies early. I really appreciate it, and I hope you guys enjoyed this vlog.
Searching for something that ain't lost. Have we got our lines crossed? We're wasting time on stuff that doesn't really matter.
Oh my gosh, help me. Okay, so because there were so many ticks outside, I came inside to read, but it's definitely later on in the day. I am on page 38 of Just Last Night, and I'm actually really enjoying it. Like, I was hesitant on whether I was gonna enjoy it just because it is a romance book, and I feel like I'm so picky with those, but I just love that she writes her characters in their 30s, and she writes so much so that like I just feel like I can relate so much to these books, and that's what I love about it. So let me just give you a quick backstory. So we have our characters Eve, Justin, Susie, and Ed. Eve and Ed, like, they like each other, but they kind of like moved on, and it's years later, and Ed has this girlfriend named, I think Hester. It's a weird name, Hester, and they've been together for a while, and she's kind of like annoying, and no one in that group really likes her. She's just like really beautiful, but she's not actually like a really nice person, and she ends up like proposing to Ed, so he's kind of like thrown off, but she does it like in front of all these people, so he has to say yes. And also, like, there's a comment where like Ed is a nice person, so he kind of gets like roped into these things like that because he's too nice to say no. But then we're reading about Eve, and she's like having this kind of like one night stand with this guy named Zach, and that's where I'm at right now, and I'm really loving it because she's saying things like, I had forgotten how stressful sex with a new person is, the pressure to perform being a really sexy person who is naturally good at sex, a part-time erotica master, the stupid hair tossing stuff and the arching of your back as if there's a panel watching you behind a one-way mirror appraising your performance and holding up paddle boards with their scores. It's kind of inimical to enjoying yourself, but I just like love it because there's other things that were talked about in here, because she's like chatting with him about like music festivals and hipster restaurants. Like, she kind of wants to leave. She doesn't actually really want to have sex with him, but she's just doing it because she's like, well, you know, I have no one else to like have sex with, I guess. But she said, I notice once again that company that's not the right fit for you is so much lonelier than being happily alone. And gosh, I just remember like before getting married and like having to do all of the dating game, you know, trying to find somebody, and especially even like online dating, it's so like, just like, how do I explain it? It's almost like, I mean, part of you can like have fun obviously dating, but then I hate like when you first meet somebody and the weird awkward moments, and like, you know, before you actually get comfortable with them. I really dislike that, especially when you're just like having to like kind of finish out the date when you're not vibing with somebody. And there's so many people that like I didn't vibe with, which is one of the reasons why I got married to my husband so fast, because when I did meet him, I just knew right away. Like, I was like, okay, we are like, this is the guy. So I am very much enjoying it so far, and I will give you guys an update in just a little bit once I read some more. Oh my gosh, I'm literally dead. This guy Zach literally refused to have sex with her because she wasn't clean shaven down there. Like, she had a bush, and he was like, nah dude, I don't do girls with hair. What? Oh my gosh, the way she handled this is hilarious. Okay, good morning, you guys. So today I am actually at Walmart waiting for my pickup order, and I was able to listen to some of Just Last Night when I was at work last night, because now that it is published, the audiobook is on Script. And so it looks like I have 8 hours left of a like 10-ish hour audiobook. I wish it would show the percentage. Like, Libby shows the percentage, which I really, really like. And Scribd doesn't, which I don't like. But anyway, so something big happened in the book that I obviously like don't want to say or spoil, but it is pretty sad. It actually just happened though, so I haven't like read a whole bunch after the fact. It's like right in the like end part of the characters finding out what's happening, but it obviously is like really sad. Like, I wouldn't ever want to experience what's happening in the book in real life. But today I'm actually I do have to work later, but I'm going to be baking some cupcakes because at work a bunch of us have birthdays in May, and so I'm actually making a batch of homemade cupcakes. I think I'm gonna do like vanilla with a lemon curd filling, I think. So I'm gonna do that, and while I'm baking, I'm hoping to be able to listen to more of the audiobook, and then tonight at work, I also want to listen to more of the audiobook. So hopefully I can finish it very soon, so that way I can start Mary Jane, because Mary Jane actually gets published on Tuesday, and I kind of want to have this vlog out by Thursday. Thank you, you too.
Thinking of drowning in those blue eyes. I'm losing sight 'cause I am falling. I'm so deep down, and it's not a lie that I die. I can't hide what this is. Yeah, I keep drowning in those blue eyes, and you can tell me all of your lies. I will put out all of the fire if it gets too dark. I'll be your light. Be your light. I'll be your light. If it gets too dark, I'll be your light. Be your light. I'll be your light. If it gets too dark, yeah, I can carry all that you've got. Two heavy hearts is not a lie. I will put out all of the fire. We stumble and fall, and it's not a lie that I die. I can't hide what this is. Yeah, I keep drowning.
Okay, sorry, I don't have my tripod, so I'm gonna be ducking down. I have you on a salt and pepper shaker. So I finished the cupcakes, and I still have an hour or so before I have to go to work. And I was actually listening to Just Last Night the whole time that I was making the cupcakes. So I am now on page 223. I'm on chapter 25. So I'm a little bit past the halfway point. Also, I love this new bookmark that I got. I got this from one of my friends, Heather. Let's see her information there. She makes all these amazing bookmarks, and I order them from her constantly because they're just really great. And she comes out with all different like seasonal ones. I love it. Anyway, I forgot that I had that in this book. So I was like, oh, I love this bookmark. Okay, so it's hard for me to really tell you what's happening in this book because the majority of the story is kind of like a very big spoiler, but I will say that very much of this book is very heavily emphasized on death. And I feel like I need to put that out there because I didn't realize that going into this book. And I actually just finished The Push by Ashley Audrain, and that was a very depressing book. I literally finished that yesterday. And then going into this, I just, even though it says like emotional on the back, it's not emotional in the way that I thought it was going to be. It's more heavily emphasized on death and loss, and it's just a very heavy book as well. Also, being halfway through it, it doesn't feel like a romance to me. There isn't very much romance. It is definitely more of a friendship book, but not even a friendship between like the girl and the guy. It's like a friendship between the girl and one of her friends, because it's like a 4-person friend group: Eve, Justin, Susie, and Ed. And so Eve and Susie are really great friends. And so the majority of this book has been mostly about like their friendship instead of what I thought it would be Eve and Ed's like relationship together. There might still be, I mean, obviously I still have half of the book left, so I feel like there could definitely still be like a come around of a lot of like, I don't know, love and stuff between Eve and Ed. But for now, like, there has hardly been any sex in the book. This is definitely one of those pretty clean romances. Other than like the very first one that I was talking about with her and a stranger, which she didn't even have sex with that person. So other than that, I really don't think there were any sex scenes, which I do prefer in books. I prefer not to have sex scenes, but I think that the cover of this one and the synopsis, and like even this, it says 2 best friend, 1 missed chance, a night that changes everything. I don't know, it just doesn't scream the vibe that it has while reading it, if that makes sense. So I definitely would not pick this up as like, you want to read a fluffy romance. This is not a fluffy romance. If you love friendship stories, if you love like very heavy topics, if you want to read about those heavier issues, then this is that type of book. But I think I kind of went into it thinking it was something different than it was. So yeah, but I'm still gonna currently listen to it. I think I might go outside and lay in the sun for a bit to get some sunshine. But I don't know, do I want to? I might, because I'm going to work, and obviously I am going to be listening to the audiobook tonight at work, so I don't want to read too much of this because then I'll run out of audiobook. This I don't have the audiobook for, so I might actually go ahead and start this right now because I'm going to be reading outside, and I could just start literally reading parts of this. This is about 1970s Baltimore. 14-year-old Mary Jane loves cooking with her mother, singing in her church choir, enjoying her family's subscription to the Broadway show tunes. She also lands a summer job as a nanny for the daughter of a local doctor. And then something about like, there's a hidden secret. The people that she's nannying for are secretly hiding a famous rock star and his wife. But anyway, this is a young adult historical fiction. This comes out on May 11th. And yeah, I'm really excited because I haven't read a young adult historical fiction before, but I love the vibe of like 60s and 70s, so I'm hoping that I like this. Also, another thing I forgot. I got a package, and this is from a lovely company that wanted to send me candles. Cute. Okay, let's read the card first. Graham, go away. Okay, so this says, Jacqueline, thank you so much for sharing my project on your YouTube channel. I so appreciate it. I have a 10% off code for your followers. It's Wheeler10. Thank you. Okay, so this is Novel Wix on Instagram. Instagram at Novel Wix and Etsy at Reading with Murph. And she does bookish candles, and she asked me what scent I wanted. I got, whoa, this is way bigger than I thought it was going to be. I've only seen those ones that are like, you know, really, really tiny. This is big. Okay, so she sent me I'm Reading. It's cinnamon, vanilla, and quiet. And these are soy candles, which are the only type of candles that I actually like burning, because the like paraffin wax ones can be like really bad for you. Ooh, wow, it's glittery. Oh my gosh. It's glittery and has a wood wick. Like, how cute is that? Oh my gosh, it smells so good. Oh my gosh, it's so amazing. Wow, this is amazing. Okay, so I cannot wait to burn this. I am a candle lover. And it looks like this one on Etsy is $8.07 currently right now, because it's on sale. And if you use the code Wheeler10, you can get 10% off. So that is a really, really good deal for a soy candle, especially one that's like hand poured, wood wick. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I am definitely gonna have to actually order more candles from her because I love it. I'll link her Etsy store down below because she has some really great sales going on. So I'm gonna get this 8-ounce nonfiction candle with the code off for $12.15. Buying this. So I finished Just Last Night by mcfarlane, and unfortunately, I'm only giving this book 2 stars. Now, I think that this book just wasn't for me. I can see so many people loving it, and it does have amazing reviews on Goodreads and the Storygraph. I went into this book thinking that this was a romance book, but unfortunately it is actually more about friendship. And I actually have a friend that like doesn't really like reading romance, and she wishes that there were more like female friendship books. And so I did recommend this to her because I was like, this is what you've been looking for. So in saying that, like, this could definitely be a good book for somebody, but it was very heavy of a topic. It deals a lot about death. And so I think it's because I also read The Push just recently, right before I read this book, and that one was also very heavy and depressing. So then I went and read a second heavy and depressing book, and I just wasn't really feeling that topic at the moment. The very large part of this story is a big spoiler in my opinion, so I can't really tell you what I'm talking about, but this book is about 4 friends that are in their 30s, and they've kind of like just lived a bunch of their life together. They do this like game night every Thursday, and 2 of the friends, like the one guy and the one girl, had previously had like a relationship, but it just didn't work out, and he ended up having to move away, and he met this new girl that eventually he got just engaged to her in this book. But that's actually not the main focus of the story. The focus is on Eve and one of the other friends, Susie. And there's just a lot going on in this book. If you've been looking for a romance that actually isn't really a romance, to me this is just more of a contemporary, like an emotional contemporary. So if you've been looking for something like that, I definitely recommend picking it up, because like the writing style is very good. I really love her characters being older, and I do like the topics that she talks about. It just did not resonate with me. Like, it is not something that I wanted to read about in this moment. I do think that maybe it's marketed wrong. I think that it shouldn't be marketed as a romance, and I think even the back doesn't really give you a good, like, I don't know. I just don't think that the synopsis on the back and the way that it is on the front, I don't feel like it gives a good portrayal on what this book is about. So that is a pet peeve of mine, but I do understand that maybe not as many people would pick it up if it was marketed as like an emotional friendship, you know, or a heavy friendship. A lot of people are looking for romance, so it's so hard. Like, I know that authors want their books to be able to be read and, you know, like be out there, and so I do understand. It's kind of the same as like YouTube, you know, trying to like fall into a niche without really falling into a niche, you know, that kind of thing. Now, I started Mary Jane. This book actually came out on May 11th. Today is like the 14th. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm late in this video. And this book is a young adult historical fiction book about this girl who's 14, and she spends the summer nannying for this like doctor family. He's actually like a psychiatrist, and they are like secretly housing this movie star because he's an addict. So they're like trying to help him out. Now, this is way different than I thought it was going to be, but in a good way. I am 62 pages in. Okay, number one, I don't think I would have like a young adult read this book, like in my opinion, with her being 14. If I had a 14-year-old or if I was 14, I wouldn't have understood a lot of the things that is being talked about in here because it's actually kind of like raunchy. I'm actually surprised that this is a young adult. The writing is definitely young adult, like the font and everything is definitely young adult, but they talked so much about like, I don't even know if YouTube will flag me for saying these things, but like penises and boobs and nipples and sex addicts and just a lot of things that like I didn't even know about when I was 14. Maybe it's because I was homeschooled and sheltered, but I'm sitting here and I'm like, would I give this to like my daughter? And would she even want to read a book about this? You know what I mean? Like when you're 14, do you actually care about that kind of stuff? But for me as an adult reading this, I am actually really enjoying it because obviously like I already know all that stuff and I'm like interested just to see how the story's going. I'm interested in the 70s. This is in 1973. And I mean, yeah, I think in the 70s, like a lot of people did do things like that. Like there were the hippies that like went shirtless and stuff. I don't know, maybe that's just my own weird opinion, but I was definitely shocked at this book being a young adult when I was reading it. And I was like, oh, we're talking about this? Okay. But what I really like about it so far is that Mary Jane has lived a very sheltered life, and so I guess I kind of see like myself in her, and she was raised to be like a good housewife. Like she knows how to cook, she does all these errands for her mom, and her mom is a really good housewife. And it's the normal like 1970s, like, you know, the dad comes home, reads the paper, doesn't really interact with his family, and the mom just kind of spends her day like making sure the house is clean and everything's ready for him. So I like that portrayal in here. And then with her being a nanny to this other family, it's more of like a hippie family, so she's kind of like finding her independence in a way. And so I know I'm only 60 some pages in, but I am really enjoying it. It's refreshing in my opinion, I guess, because when I thought young adult historical fiction, I was like, oh, that's like two of the things that I don't usually read or love, and I'm really liking it. Plus, I mean, the cover is just absolutely beautiful. Is beautiful. So I'm going to read more of this book. I will give you guys an update hopefully soon, so that way I just really hope I love the rest of the book. Okay, so finally finished Mary Jane. It took me a while to read this because I'm actually playing a like TBR challenge in my book club, and I had to only read this book in my favorite spot, which was not at work, obviously. So I could not like take this to work and read it. I could only read it at home on the couch, which is, I guess, technically my favorite spot. But I think I'm going to end up giving this 3.5 stars. It was at like a 4-star rating for me. I actually was enjoying so much of it, but because there wasn't really a lot of depth in it, that just made me not be able to give it a full, you know, 4 or 5-star rating. But this is not a bad book. I thought that like it was done really well for having like the 1970s vibes, those different themes. If you've read like maybe Someday by Colleen Hoover, where it has a lot of like music and lyrics in it, then you would probably like this because they're always singing, they're always talking about music, always talking about lyrics. So if you're looking for a book with that type of theme, then you would probably really like this one. My main concern with it is for it being marketed as young adult. Like, I know I talked about that in this vlog beforehand. It just gets, like, the further you go, the worse it gets. Like, in the middle, it was letting up, and I was like, okay, maybe that was just something that she was writing in the beginning part. But no, it talks about a lot of stuff, like very graphic, kind of like sex scenes in order for this to be a young adult book. So for me, like as an adult reading it, like I'm perfectly okay reading that type of stuff, but I would not give this to a preteen or a teenager, in my opinion. I know other people might have totally different opinions, depending upon how you mother and what's going on. But also, maybe I'm more like Mary Jane's mother in here. I don't know. So this whole entire book is about Mary Jane. She is 14 years old. She becomes a nanny for the summer. Her family, like she's an only child, but her family is very conservative. They are very racist. They are like kind of well off. Her mom is a housewife who believes that, you know, you need to dress appropriately and you need to have very good manners, and she like doesn't actually have a very good relationship with her parents. Even though they're trying to be that, like, you know, picture perfect family, there's not that connection. So when she becomes a nanny for this other family is more like hippie and free flowing, and they wear whatever they want and they don't wear things if they don't want to wear them, and they do what they want and they say what they want and they tell you their feelings. But she has really good connections with them. And the little girl Izzy, who she is the nanny for, I think that connection was really great for me because I was a nanny for a couple of years, and it was to a little like 3 and 4 year old, and so I could totally see that connection that Mary Jane had with Izzy, because that's definitely the same connection that I had with my nanny kid. And so I just thought that those were very, very precious. I thought that was so cute. I did think that there was going to be more of a storyline between Mary Jane and her mom, because there were so many things that Mary Jane was hiding from her mom, and she had to lie to her about a lot of the things that she was doing while she was a nanny. So I thought that there was gonna be a little bit more coming out of that, but they did address it kind of near the end, which I thought was good. I just thought that it was gonna play a bigger part of this book, since this book is all about kind of like Mary Jane's freedom and breaking free from, like, you know, society standards and stuff like that. All in all, this was a pretty good book. I loved the 70s vibes, so I definitely want to find more books that were written in like the 60s and 70s. I think that that's a time period, like a historical fiction time period, that I really, really love and enjoy. So if you have any recommendations, definitely drop them down below. Thank you again to Custom House for sending me this beautiful finished copy. Like, it is just, it's so beautiful. I think I might keep this on my new bookshelf and have it, you know, like sitting like that, because it's so good. All right, that's it for this video, you guys. I hope you really enjoyed it. I'm sorry I didn't get it out earlier when these books were actually, you know, like releasing. So Just Last Night released on May 4th and Mary Jane released on May 11th. So you can definitely go grab yourselves all a copy. But I will see you guys very soon in another video. Bye, everyone.